Going live, here we are. Hello everyone, Marco Montemagno here, Super Summit founder, and here we are with SME's Mobile Strategies 2014, powered by Apps Builder. And the next guest is another amazing guest, and I'm so happy to have her here. Immediately I go to Orla Malone from Facebook in Ireland. Hi Orla, how are you?
Hi there Marco, how are you? Delighted to be here today. Thank you so much for the invite.
Everything great, and I have a lot of things to say about the poster behind you, but I first want to introduce to our people here joining our video conversation. Krista McClanders from Apps Builder. Hi Krista, how are you doing?
Hey, doing good, good to be back.
So, Orla, first of all, the most important thing, tell me about this phrase, this poster that you have on the background, because that's the catchy, the best, marketing approach that I've ever seen in a webcam interview.
So I guess in Facebook it's all about building a hacker culture. So often you will hear about the Facebook teams hacking out new ideas for new clients, or even just individual solutions that they're trying to build out themselves. So around the office we build very big, bold statements that allows us to really immerse ourselves into that culture. And I guess this is one of my favorite ones. What would you do if you weren't afraid? So it really gets you to think outside your comfort zone and really push the boundaries. So this is the one that definitely challenges me the most. So I thought it was definitely appropriate, particularly when we're talking about mobile strategies for small, medium businesses for 2014.
I love it. I love it. Orla, obviously everyone knows Facebook, okay? So we don't need to say what is Facebook about. But I would like just, 1 minute from you to understand better the Facebook let's say business unit for a small and medium business, because this is something that could be interesting for the business in contact. How do you work? How many people are there? How is the business unit focused for small medium business?
Absolutely. So we have a huge team here servicing all of EMEA. Essentially, our team is broken down by different levels of service that we offer. We cover everything from marketing and sales service all the way through to marketing as well. And essentially, we can work directly with clients. We have 2 or 3 different types of programs that you can use in order to get you started. So we've got a Facebook Fit and Facebook First campaign that will essentially allow you and introduce you to the platform to get you started. And then from there, we have a more strategic approach as well. If you need account management service, that's something that we also offer as small and medium business services. So we're talking to them every day really about all our different products. We're looking at reach, we're looking at targeting, and specifically now we're focusing on mobile as well.
Interesting. So it's not only a self-service platform, but there is a team of people following companies, supporting companies to...
Absolutely. There's a huge team behind that as well. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's very good. All right. I would go straight to your presentation. And while you set it up, I wanted to ask you the following. I was waiting for a presentation like, very technological, or I don't know, for a title that was very high tech. I don't know. That was my expectation. I don't know why. And then you're focusing on the storytelling side. So I was a little bit surprised, and I was curious and fascinated by the topic. So help me to understand, why did you choose the storytelling side?
Sure. I think for us this is a huge opportunity for small.
And sorry, Orla. If you put the presentation full screen, so we'll see perfectly the first slide, and
perfect.
Yeah, storytelling. Yeah, basically.
Great. Can you see that now?
No, I still see the working note. I still see the working note, but I let you try it like that. Just go out of the screen sharing. Come back and we see if it works.
Okay, 1 second.
By the way, Krista, so will you help me with the chat? We have a lot of people in chat. Let me tell you this. I have 30 seconds that I want to use for this real experiment. I want to say hi to the people connected, and I want to tell you from which countries they coming. Okay, so let me go here. This is real-time mobile analytics, by the way. All right, so hi everyone. We have people connect from United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Spain, Brazil, France, Australia, Canada, Switzerland, and Italy, of course. But my fellow Italians, a big hi to my Italian friends. But Krista, yeah, please help me with the chat, and also obviously at Apps Builder you have a lot of data about mobile and this kind of things, so it could be a great help.
Yeah, we'll be here looking at the chat. I'll be monitoring, making sure anyone's questions here are going to get answered. So fire away.
Very good. All right, Orla, I see the slides and I see full screen.
Brilliant, excellent. So we're good to go. Essentially, I want to really focus on storytelling. It's such a huge part of our engagement strategy, and essentially the opportunity that I want to talk to you today and everybody today about is how to help small and medium-sized businesses really grow that opportunity on Facebook. We're seeing more and more, obviously, growth within our mobile strategy and how people are consuming and actually interacting every day with the Facebook platform on mobile. So this is something that I really want to focus on, understanding how to build a voice, how to build a tone, and really how to tell a story. And there's some sort of tricks and tips that I'd like to go through today.
Fantastic. Before you start, I read an Orla McSweeney in the mobile phone. So
exactly. So I have just got married, so essentially that is my new name now,
wow.
And yeah, that's something that I'm rolling out slowly. That's my new brand.
Very good. Congrats and good luck for everything.
Thank you very much. So to kick us off today, I really want to take us back 10 years ago and essentially talk about what Mark Zuckerberg did when he launched his website from his dorm room, and in the process he really changed how the world connects with the people and the businesses that they care about. And while we've celebrated 10 years in business, we've really come a long way from Kirkland House at Harvard University, and we've connected over a fifth of the world, but we still have further to go as a company. And although the story, is familiar and it's still hard to believe, the bit that's extremely hard to believe is it all started from his dorm room. And Mark did it from his desktop, as that was how the world was then, whereas now this shift to mobile means that all entrepreneurs and all businesses today really need to build a mobile strategy. And I guess when I think of you as a small, medium business, as an entrepreneur and as an innovator, you're going to launch products from your coffee shops, from cafes and even common rooms, whereas Mark was tied to his desktop. Mobility is really now the dominant force in our culture today. And if we even think back 34 years ago, when the mobile phone was invented, there's now nearly 5 billion people, that's over 75% of today's world's population, who's actually acquired one and using it. And I love this analogy. It really focuses on just the growth and the proliferation of mobile devices, which is breathtaking. And by some estimates, there's actually more smart and feature phones in the world than there are toothbrushes, estimating at about 6.5 billion. So I couldn't talk about mobile strategy without actually looking at the growth over the last couple of years. And while tablet adoption is growing at 3 times the rate of the iPhone, the mobile future that we've heard so much about is here, and it has brought us to a total inflection point. So let's actually take us back to the 1950s, because I think this gives us the best perspective on changing and what changes took place over that time. And I guess this was the first time a new medium came along, and this is when TV surpassed radio for the first time. It was such an important medium for people. It significantly expanded the amount of time that we actually spent with media. And then quickly, television became the focus for people, and soon thereafter, the advertising industry, it really ruled it for the next 50 years. And in the 1990s, we saw this new shift to digital, where people began to spend time on digital media as well. And looking at eMarketer and looking at the reports they published in 2013, the amount of time people spent per day on digital media actually surpassed the amount of time that they were spending on TV. And it's actually important to point out that it was all mobile that pushed this digital to this inflection point, but also now the majority of time that's being spent on digital. And once again, when we actually think of people who are spending total time on media, they're leveraging the power of mobile to remain connected with the people and the things that they care about on a day-to-day. So really, looking forward, it's not hard to imagine the time spent on digital is going to continue to increase, and mobile taking an even more dominant share of that time as technology makes still staying connected even easier. But for you as small businesses, to connect with the people all the time, everywhere, and whatever device they choose at that moment is also really important, and what I want to focus on today. And I suppose I want to get deeper into the more granular stuff and look at the details within the UK market. So, for example, we have right now 26 million active users in the UK, 22 million of those are accessing Facebook via the mobile device every single day. And if you actually think about it, that's 70% of our active users who are using us every day. So we're doing the kind of things that are really important to them. And I guess everything in terms of a mobile strategy really starts from there. And some really nice snapshots of what they're doing on a global level. Obviously here at Facebook, mobile is at the heart of Facebook, and Facebook's at the heart of mobile. And obviously when we think of our first billion users, it was built on desktop with a little bit mobile thrown in. Our next billion users will be really built on mobile. And 1 out of every 4 minutes on mobile globally is actually spent on Facebook and Instagram. And 47% of those users are using mobile only. So I want to really talk to you today and really outline that it's not just about reach. The special sauce that makes Facebook so unique is all about its authentic communication, authentic identity. People are their real selves online, and this means we can tailor our experience to actually suit their interests. So if I'm in the market to buy a new car, or if I'm looking for a nice cold beer, I can be specifically targeted based on my interests. And obviously when we think of how we use the newsfeed, it's like a personalized newspaper for us. So it's filled with family and friends and the things we care about, from people to news stories to even businesses that I follow on Facebook. And it's an incredibly engaging experience and provides moments for all small businesses to capture the attention and the engagement of users. And right now there's over 700 million people every day refreshing their newsfeed, which is roughly 10 to 15 times a day, on whatever device that they choose. So imagine the opportunity that presents to you just on mobile alone. And when I actually think about how many times we actually check our phones on a daily basis, mobile is the next closest thing to you and your customer. Many of you are probably multi-screening right now. That's how much that you're using that device. We used to say that prime time on Facebook was between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m., but now prime time is all the time. So I want you to focus.
Sorry, Orla. I think that's very interesting. Yeah, because I was always thinking, that it was a prime time for when people were using Facebook, or at least it was like that 1 year ago, probably.
Sure.
And you say now prime time is more or less all the time.
Prime time is essentially all the time. If we think of people on their commute to work from morning, noon, and lunchtime, we're actually seeing a huge spike in engagement across a lot of our campaigns, from people traveling to work to even lunch breaks. People are even checking Facebook in the bathrooms these days. It's growing so much at different times that we now don't have a prime time. Peak time is all the time.
Right.
So when I look at my news feed and what I can see, I keep connected with all my friends and I discover what my family are up to, but I also share what's important to me on a given day based on businesses that I follow. So for small businesses, it's equally a part of this experience, and this presents a massive opportunity for all of you to create content that is just as engaging and just as relevant as the rest of the stories that show up in my feed. So when we talk about the essence of storytelling at Facebook, it's that it can take a lot of different shapes and forms. A story could be told in a video, it can be told in a visual, it can even be told in a line of copy. But all of these things can be storytelling as long as they support an idea that triggers an emotional connection with the audience that you're looking to target to make your business matter to them. And often when we talk about storytelling, it's important to understand what that means. It's one of those words that seems to be on everybody's lips, but at the same time, nobody's quite sure what that means. And I heard a really great definition of storytelling from our head of global media at Unilever, Debbie Winston, and she said the way her brands think about it, she said, is that a brand is something that you buy, whereas a story is something that you buy into. And really, to put that into perspective, I want to take an example of what a Unilever brand is currently doing. So let's consider something as simple as shampoo or moisturizer. As a product, Dove is something that sits on the shelf at your local store, competing for attention and loyalty with dozens of others. But when Unilever ran a campaign for real beauty for Dove, this included things like ads, a video, different workshops, sleepover events. It even included the publication of a book and the production of a play. So Dove stopped being a brand and started being a part of a story that made women feel good about themselves. And that story continues to generate powerful emotions and really strong brand affinity. So the good news for a lot of people at the moment is that this has long been the goal of advertising. And although Newsfeed is a new platform to a lot of advertisers and it's a new platform for great stories, it's actually not about reinventing the wheel. Our key message to many of you today is to do what you're already doing. If you think about some of the best creative over the last 30 years, most of it wouldn't have looked out of place on Facebook. Take, for example, this Volkswagen ad. It's one of the most rewarded print creatives of all time. But it could only easily been developed. It also could have been developed for, say, for example, for a mobile first world. But at the same time, there are definitely some core messages that will help you approach storytelling on mobile in the right frame of mind. And I'm actually going to focus on 5 of them today. The first one I want to talk about is how to be authentic. And when I talk about authentic, this isn't about just disseminating true information to your following. Being authentic means being both true to yourself, so defining what your brand and your business is all about, and creating content through the lens of your core messaging, but also being really true to your customers. At its best, it's really about showing curiosity and sharing insights into their lives, not just their products. So let's take example for a Nike campaign. So last year, the Nike Academy won a Gold Award at the Facebook Studio Awards for its powerful use of storytelling and newsfeed. And when we actually asked the team who ran the campaign how they thought about storytelling and creative on Facebook, this is what they had to say. So our major filter on the Nike academic is authenticity. Every piece of the content was actually produced by the team themselves, so it was all based on real life experiences. And what we haven't included there is that they were actually all optimizing this campaign for mobile, as they knew that most of their audience wanted to consume it in bite-sized pieces while they're on the go. So let's take an example of how a brand or how a small business can be useful to their fan base. So when we talk about useful, it's about creating content and stories that are useful both online and offline, and how you can enable people to do things that they love at scale. So it's really important when you're thinking about the content on your page to think about why should your fan base care about this, and why actually should they share it. So this is an example of a Galway-based personal trainer that's based in Ireland. His name is Pat DeVilly. He built a loyal customer base on Facebook by sharing his top tips and insights that fans can follow to lose weight. And most recently, Pat launched a really exciting campaign, which was Pat's 15-day tight tummy blueprint. And it was released for free after his post hit 1,500 shares. So Pat has added real value to the lives of his customers through this kind of engagement. He knows exactly the type of content that his fans want to hear more about. He's launched books, he's launched online personal training programs. The list is really endless, but this is someone who started very small with us and grew their business on Facebook, and now interacts with their fan base on a very, very engaging content on a daily basis. The next factor that I want to focus on is really being entertaining. And when I think about what your brand voice or your business should look like when we talk about entertainment, it's not about always playing the joker, being entertaining in a way that it actually is meaning for your brand or your business. So let's take an example of a small, medium business here in Ireland called Voltaire Diamonds. We don't often think of jewellery stores as entertainers in the traditional sense, but Voltaire shows that by understanding what's important to their customers and meaningful to their brand, you can actually create compelling content in the newsfeed. So that means playing on matchmaking posts, snippets from your local newspapers, such as the Dublin Metro Herald, Strangers on a Train section, or even posting high-quality videos from other brands celebrating the power of love. It's really looking at an integrated campaign and how that can actually reflect on being entertaining in your mobile strategy. The next most important one to think about is be really timely and be really relevant with your posts. So be nimble enough to adapt. As the boardroom and all the newsrooms converge and stories are now being told in close to real time, the challenge is to respond to your consumers' lives in a way that's surprising and also delightful. We've seen a lot of big brands and local brands do this, and they've embodied this famously. And just one example that I always think about is the one that KitKat did last year. So KitKat posted this example shortly after Felix did his amazing space jump for Red Bull. And what I love about this is the way KitKat cheekily jumped into another brand spotlight, but in a way that was more fun than arrogant or intrusive. Snickers also did it with the World Cup this year, and obviously just spoke about hungry, just grab a Snickers, #World Cup. So I thought, again, lots of brands really focusing in on what's timely and what's relevant. The most important thing when we talk about building a mobile strategy, and one of the core things, is really listening to your fan base. The ability to listen is so crucial in any relationship. It comes in different forms, and it obviously refers to both customer service but also product development. Here's a really nice example of a small Irish business called the Irish Fairy Door Company. This is a really delightful company. It actually makes mini fairy doors for children's bedrooms, or even just for big kids like myself. It's a Facebook page, and it celebrates its consumers' imagination with almost entirely user-generated content. When you go in there, you can see the showcasing them, the product in perfect settings from different homes, and it even provides inspiration to other potential buyers out there and exercises an own sense of fun. The company has an incredible active page, and what I love about it is it actually responds to questions and comments and presents a very, very human face, behind a brand that's seen such growth on Facebook. And so, as discussed today, mobile is the biggest cultural shift in our generation, but because of that, it's also the biggest opportunity for all small and medium businesses. It has dissolved the boundary between advertising and storytelling, which means we need to adopt new skills and habits. But if we get it right, we'll create more meaningful connections than ever before. So I'd love to open it up, Marco, to any questions that you have on the chat today.
Give me 1 second. All right. So here we are. The first thing, I would like to try to recap exactly your point. So you say the most important things here that we're talking about are authenticity, to be useful, to be entertaining, be timely and relevant, and listen basically to your audience.
Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, Orla, if you just quit the screen share, you can we can see you again.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
The interesting starting point for me is the following. I think that there are a lot of small and medium business out there that basically they start from scratch. So they start from a zero basis on fan base on Facebook, and they have to start to build their community.
Sure.
Obviously, then there are companies that are already there and they want to improve, their presence. So, but the first point for me is the following: let's focus on this small business that they have no experience with Facebook, and let's try to see how they can improve. When you start and you start from zero, how can you build your community? I mean, what are your tips to build a community of passionate fans? You definitely need to get advertising in game. You can only use the storytelling in your feed. How does it work?
Sure. So I guess in terms of what we're seeing, so we're seeing an increased...
Sorry. If you click again on the screen share button so that it goes away my awful face from the... No worry.
There we go. Can you see?
Oh. I see you perfectly.
Perfect. Okay, great. So I guess what we're seeing is a really big increase in advertising adoption from small businesses, and it's really for three different reasons. The main ones being the reach opportunity that they have, the mobile opportunity that they have, and the targeting that they have to target their existing customers and to acquire new customers. So I think for a small business, you need to think about key things. You need to think about what your goals as a marketeer are. What essentially do you care about? Is it in-store sales? Is it online sales? Is it driving conversion, or is it driving brand awareness? And when you have that outlined, that will then build a strategy to leverage on Facebook, from essentially creating your page at the start to building out your existing fans, and then obviously using our ads platform, which is essentially really, really easy to use. So we know that time and money for SMBs is extremely precious, and what we've seen now is by creating simple tools, from promoting a page post, from a photo to a video on your page, and convert it into an ad that allows you to target new audience, existing audience, or even new audience. This makes it very, very simple for you to get started. We have so many links and resources that are available for small, medium businesses to get started. The first one that I would point everyone to is facebook.com/business. And that will give you all the tools and the tricks that you need to get started, from creating a page right the way through to setting up your very first ad. We also have more scaled support as well in our Start to Success program, which you can actually find out more about from facebook.com/business/start to success. And if I was to give you another pointer, it would be to follow our Facebook marketing page and to like it. And this will give you some lightweight examples of tips and tricks on how to leverage the platform for your own business as well.
Got it. All right, Krista, maybe we go in straight to the chat and we see what we have there, because I saw a tough question to start for Orla. I'm happy I'm not the one who have to answer, but I'm
okay,
sure
let's see how we go.
Yeah, so I mean, right to it. So Amanda is asking, is Facebook a platform where people are in a buying mentality?
When you say buying mentality, so as a consumer, yes, that's what essentially we're seeing from a return on investment point of view. So we have numerous amounts of studies done both on the e-commerce space, on the retail space, that proves ROI on key campaigns. So essentially we have measurements in place that allows you to track your campaigns that drive from Facebook to your external site and allows you to actually measure that. So there's a couple of key things that I would say. Sorry guys, I don't know if you can hear that noise in the background. A couple of key things that I would say, and again, pointing to the facebook.com/business, it'll give you an insight into our conversion tracking pixel, which will allow you to track and measure the success of your campaigns. So you can actually track the sales that you're getting from the back end of running an advertising campaign with us on Facebook.
Yeah, and also I guess that basically if you build a brand, then I mean, you are a brand, and I think if Tim Ferriss on Facebook say, there is my new book out there, I mean, you trust the brand wherever he is probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen success stories across so many small, medium businesses. Like the Irish Ferry Door Company is one example that have said to us and proven to us that 80% of the traffic that they're seeing coming from Facebook or coming to their website is coming directly from Facebook. So they're able to track all of the traffic that's coming from their website as well.
All right, got it. I would like to go back to one of your points that I was very interested in, and I think a lot of companies, they have this kind of pain when we talk about being entertaining.
Yes.
Because most of the companies understand that being entertaining is start publishing cute cats videos on their feed, and you know, and it doesn't make any sense for maybe a brand that sell glasses, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Or you know, doing like will it blend experiments, crazy things, but you know, maybe your company is very serious or has got a different kind of language. So what's your suggest about that? What's the right way to position yourself but still being entertaining?
Sure. So as you could see in the example that I shared, Voltaire Diamonds was a jeweler company, and essentially how they leveraged humor in their posts was they actually tied it to an integrated campaign. So they tied it to a very funny and humorous joke that was offline in the newspaper, but they were able to tie it back to their business. And it really connected with people, because essentially it was talking about two different things. So as I said, it's very important to be very careful how you use humor in your business, but it's really important to focus on the strategy. So what is your brand voice? What does it look like? Why are you sharing that? And why should people care about that? So we always talk about why should I share and why should I care? And I think they're two really key things and key messages to always remember when you're actually starting to plan your posts for that week as well.
Got it. Krista, let's go back in chat. I saw something interesting from Jan.
Yeah. So Ian is actually asking, when will Facebook allow businesses to start using business pages like you can on personal pages? You can communicate business to person or business, i.e. on personal pages you can talk person to person. Businesses are asking for this here in the UK, hence why businesses are using personal pages versus the business page.
I understand, and this is something that we've heard a lot of. I don't have a time frame or a date or anything in mind that I can discuss with you guys today, but we're hearing this from a number of different advertisers, and it's definitely feedback that we're looking at.
But as I said before, Orla, I know that Mark Zuckerberg wanted to join the call in person, but we say no, because we have no time for exclusive announcement here. And
exactly.
very good. And also, I picked this one from the chat that I saw. Yeah, Twitter came out. I know that you don't talk about competition, okay? But
Sure.
it's coming out from the chat, and I will direct it to you as it is. What do you think of the Twitter buy now function? Will Facebook do something similar, buy button, or
so we're currently testing that at the moment. We're testing it with a small cluster of advertisers in the States. Again, I'm not in a position to give you a date as to when this will roll out, if this will roll out, but it's definitely something that we're looking at. Yeah.
Another point that I'm curious about is the following. I remember exactly when Mark Zuckerberg was at TechCrunch Disrupt with Michael Irenton, I think a couple of years ago. And the big critic to Facebook was, Facebook is not good on mobile yet. And I remember Mark Zuckerberg saying, well, from now on, we are a mobile company. And he turned the company upside down, and everyone understood how powerful Facebook could be on mobile, and now you have, an amazing successful strategy on mobile, of course. So, is it really now like mobile first, or Facebook is already on mobile only company? What's the direction here for business to consider?
Mobile is absolutely a first within our company, and I think going back to your point, when we actually think about our mobile efforts internally, we have put huge resources behind it from an engineering standpoint, and even when you think about the ads that we've rolled out, from mobile app install ads right the way through to different mobile strategies for brands on Facebook, this is certainly a priority for our company, and essentially that's both mobile and it's also tablet as well. But that doesn't necessarily say that desktop is not important. That's still an important strategy for people, but mobile has been definitely one of the huge growths that we've seen in our company over the last 2 years.
So if a company would start now, for instance, would you suggest to focus only on mobile, only to do an app and being very, very good on mobile, or still you would say no, build your digital strategy, website and everything?
Yeah, I think we'd have to do both to test it, because for every business it's completely different, and it totally comes back to what your marketing objectives are. So we'd have to look at both strategies, but there has to be 2 different strategies in the mix to try them out.
Got it. All right, I go back to Krista, and I hope you have 4 hours of your time.
Absolutely. I'm here for Q&A all day.
Yeah, so we've got a question here in the chat from Julia. And she's asking, what do you think of the promote your app on Facebook option in particular? Does it work well? Or is it always better to go through a more general advertising plan, I guess, to promote the app? Do you have examples of success of app promotion on Facebook?
So promoting your app has been hugely successful, and essentially what it's allowing you to do is drive traffic directly from your newsfeed into the App Store for users to download the app within 3 seconds. So we have tons of different examples. Without going into any detail across all of them today, if you go into facebook.com/business, you'll see some key examples, particularly across our small medium business interface as well. But essentially, yes, promoting your app is definitely part of that strategy to drive direct traffic through to it. Yeah.
Orla, I heard a lot of talking about custom audiences, basically.
Yes.
So for people or companies that are not really updated on it, basically is the possibility of grabbing your mailing list of
your database,
your database, upload it on Facebook in a secure way, and then target a similar audience on Facebook based on your database, basically. You can do much more, and I gave a horrible explanation, but just this is the concept.
Sure.
I thought that probably for small medium business that could be a great opportunity, because maybe a small medium business, they have their newsletter and they have maybe a small database, I don't know, 1,000 contacts, 10,000 contacts, 100,000, I don't know how many, and they can start from there instead of trying to reach an audience that they don't know, so they could start from their customers. What do you think?
So what we're seeing when we look at email marketing nowadays, the open rate on email marketing is between 3 and 6%, so it's very, very low. And with custom audiences, we've seen a huge success with clients leveraging their database and allowing them to actually connect with people that's online on Facebook. So custom audiences can be used in a number of different ways. Essentially, it's allowing you to connect with your database, leverage the people you're already speaking to, but we've also advanced the product to what we call lookalike audiences, which not only just allows you to talk to your existing customers, but it actually allows you to look for a very similar profile that's on your database and actually connect and communicate with a brand new audience.
Okay.
So for example, if I am Ford and I have just launched a new model car, but I know that you have bought Ford before, I can essentially retarget you based on your previous buying behaviors because I have your details essentially on my database.
Got it. Okay. Authenticity, that was another topic that you were talking about.
Yes.
No, first I would like to talk about the useful. I don't know if the photo is a Photoshop that you shown of this guy that was very fat and became like, a perfect body. This is, I don't know, but I mean, this is this kind of business. But but being useful is definitely one interesting topic. Do you think on Facebook there is a specific way of doing it that is different with other social network, or there are specific tools that give you the possibility of add value or being useful to your audience or to your customers? I saw many companies, for instance, doing a lot of customer service directly on Facebook or this kind of things. Do you have any examples of this?
I think you've touched on two key ones. So essentially, it's really important to use our reporting on the back end. So looking at your insights, looking at your customer audience insights. So essentially, looking at previous posts and the engagement on those posts is really going to give you an insight into how well they've performed. And also looking at your demographics, your responder demographics. So people who are responding to that post, what that target audience looks like, which allows you to actually change and obviously physically target different segments of audiences. So it's really, really important to almost create what we call a conversational calendar. Who are you going to target? What's that going to look like? And what creative are you going to use? And I think, coming back to the point on, what should I share on Facebook with my audience is really going to depend on how well you segment your target audience as well. So again, very, very different for different brands. But again, we've seen people do this so well depending on looking at their insights and what's worked in the past. So again, really, really important to look at your insights on previous posts to help you plan ahead for the rest.
Do you suggest another? I just shout, like this. Do you suggest if a company has, for instance, 10 products, or if they have 10 different brands, do you suggest 10 different pages or one page for your business?
Essentially, we have rolled out a global page structure, which allows you to have one global brand page and then different regional pages based on where your business or where your brand is positioned. So there's two options, and it really depends on what the strategy internally within the business is. You can either look at positioning by region and by market, or positioning by brand within a portfolio. So we've seen brands, or we've seen an overall business with 10 different brands have 10 different Facebook pages. And then we have seen other people that localize based on the current languages as well within that country.
Okay, so you can structure your
You can have it all structured, absolutely.
All right, very good. Orla, all right, be ready for the next couple of questions, a little bit more spicy to make it more more fun today. Okay, good. Krista, I go back to you.
Yeah, okay. So Ian's asking, medium, large, and corporate businesses are using Facebook as advertising platform versus a self-employed or smaller businesses maybe using the platform more for a business-to-business approach. Does Facebook see this picture? How are we targeting, I guess, these different business needs, the B2C and B2B needs? how is Facebook treating this, I guess, is the question.
We have a number of different examples of B2B and B2C on Facebook, but I just want to bring it back to that point of the question. I think, am I right in saying they're trying to understand how they can leverage advertising on both, or are they comparing themselves to bigger brands who are buying ads and they're not buying ads? I just want to understand the question a bit better.
Yeah, I think the question is probably coming from a budget perspective and how we can do without maybe advertising and still get the same benefits as what maybe we're seeing from a larger corporate businesses with big budgets.
Yeah. Again, it's going to come down to content. It's all about engaging content to get that into your newsfeed. And I think this really comes back to the point where so many people are now sharing more and more, and the competition for every story to be included in newsfeed is actually increasing, because people are connecting with more friends and more brands. And we've seen a 50% increase in the pages that people have liked from a year ago to today. So that's huge in newsfeed. And I think, you know, for that business, it's really important about focusing on content, really engaging content to get it into their newsfeed. Also remembering that only 20% of the current fan base currently see the posts that they make on their page. So only 20% of the fan base currently see those posts unless they advertise to boost ads on Facebook to drive awareness around that. So, you know, the bottom line is it's really, really important to focus on content and then also look at an advertising strategy that will really boost that into the newsfeed for them to draw awareness around it.
I am Italian, as you guessed by my British accent, Orla. And we Italians, we have a lot of peculiar characteristics. And one of these is that we care a lot about money. So when we talk about something, we always think, yes, but how much does it cost? And we always think also that people or companies try to cheat us. So we are very a strange culture. But I think a lot of companies, when they need to invest money, for instance, in advertising, they always try to figure out the right budget. So maybe they have a web agency or media agency supporting them, but they try to understand, you know, if the budget that they are using is the right amount of budget to get a result in the end. So I know that it is a very absolutely impossible to answer question, but is it possible to give to the people watching us and here with us today just an idea of an average budget that they should think of investing on Facebook to promote their stuff if they are a small business? I mean, and they say, okay, how much money should I spend minimum? Like $500, $10,000 a month? I don't know. How much is it? Is it possible to have an average to help them to move?
So this is a question we get asked all the time, and again, like you said, it's a difficult one to answer because it's totally different for each business that works with us today, and it really depends on setting up a test budget that allows you to trial out the different ad products that we have, allowing you to target different audiences and to measure that. That can be anything from $50 a day right the way through to something much higher, and it really, really depends on how you plan your budget across all different mediums as well. So for us, I wouldn't give you an example of a test budget today because, again, it really depends on the business, what industry they're in. You know, it's too hard for me to say depending on how many markets they're looking at advertising in, and then it varies per different market. What I would say is set up a 7-day trial, set up a test, measure each and every single ad solution that you buy and look at the target audience. So really start using the reporting on the back end to actually look at the conversions that you're seeing, be it online, be it on the website, or be it in store. They're the kind of key things, yeah. So it is a tricky one, and one that we get asked quite a lot, but again, it's very hard to say for an individual business.
Orla, I would have loved that you answer like $478 per month is the perfect amount. That would be great, you know, a great answer. Rob, I understand, but you know, you're always curious to understand.
Yeah, of course, to know. Yeah.
Krista, let's go back. I saw movements in chat, a lot of movements.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great questions. Francesco is asking a question about starting, you know, when he's out starting a new business page. He's finding it a little bit difficult to gain momentum and get people to, you know, like the page. What would you suggest as, you know, some great strategies to start getting people to like the page early on in a new page launch, where maybe you don't have a lot of content there already, so your credibility is maybe a little bit low.
Yeah, sure. So again, bringing it back to the point that in order to get your story boosted into your newsfeed and get it engaged with the right audience, it's really bringing it back to the creative. So I think it's kind of threefold. It's looking at creative, it's looking at your target audience. So what your target audience is being, break that down. Is it existing customers? Is it brand new customers? You know, looking at the types of products that they've bought from you in the past and how to target them. And then finally, really looking at our advertising model and how that can work for you. So, you know, we've launched some very, very simple tools, you know, over the last year that allows you to turn a post into an ad at the click of a button. And what we've seen is that 60% of our advertisers are actually getting started on Facebook simply because the tools are now very, very easy for people to use, both on the go, on mobile, and online. So again, I break it down to looking at your creative and content, looking at the advertising model, and then looking at your target audience and really mapping that out. And when you apply it, make sure that you're constantly testing and constantly looking and tracking it as well.
Krista, I think we have another interesting question from Valentina. I think Valentina is from Malta, I think. I don't want to say a stupid thing, but I think she's from Malta. And so, hi there.
Yeah. So Valentina is actually asking, most of the media agencies are becoming preferred marketing developer to deal with Facebook advertising, so making campaigns on behalf of clients. But the lookalike or custom audience includes you need to upload a lot of internal client data. So for this reason, maybe, you know, a lot of these clients don't want to upload this data because it's sensitive and such. So from you, she's asking, you know, can you guarantee that these agencies who are dealing with these purchases are not mistreating this information and aren't using it, I guess, you know, for their own access, and it's
I
safe.
Translate the question, Orla.
Yeah.
Is Facebook the big brother or not?
Yeah. So I can completely understand, and this is a question that I get asked a number of times. I think the key, most important thing to note here is that none of this data is shared with either Facebook or with the agency that's involved. So when the data is uploaded, the database is uploaded, it's all coded and hashed, so that when it sits within their business account and they can see this themselves, it's giving them a match rate. So it's outlining how many people they can connect and target to in terms of the number, but it's not giving that agency or anybody else within Facebook the access to any of that data, from email addresses to phone numbers, any of that. Nothing of it is shared. It's all hashed and coded. So you're just getting a reach number, which is the total number of people that you can reach with that campaign using custom audiences or lookalike audiences.
Okay. Another point that I think a lot of companies are talking about in this moment, small medium business. The critic, let's say, is that you try to build your page, and I don't know, I build my page, I have 10,000 fans, and when I do a status update, obviously not all 10,000 will read my update, because I mean, they are following other pages, that there is an algorithm that decide what is more interesting for them, blah, blah, blah. So in the end, I don't know exactly the percentage, but I heard around like 15, 20% of my audience will see the message, something like that. But if I use Facebook advertising, I can get a bigger audience. So is it really like that? Do you think is fair for small medium business? What's your tip to get your audience?
So I think that's a really good point that you touched on. And as I said earlier, as people share more, the competition for every story to actually be included in the newsfeed actually increases, because people are connecting with more friends, connecting with more pages, connecting with more businesses that they care about. So first of all, like, just to outline the very simple thing, what this means is it's a trend that we expect to continue in terms of content eligible for newsfeed increases faster than actually users' ability to read it. So if I'm seeing 1,000 stories in my feed on a daily basis, it's hard for me to consume it all. But it's important to note that this happens in any feed-based system that selects basically the content that it's going to show to you. So this happened in TV when a number of different cable channels were proliferated. It happens across a number of different platforms. So no matter how you organize a feed, it's a myth that everyone can see everything. There are basically two ways to do it. And I think the key things that I really want to draw people's attention to today is we will always optimize newsfeed for people. And on average, the organic reach for pages is going down, and we expect this trend to continue. But this is happening across all platforms from Twitter to Google. And if brands want to guarantee that people see their content, they really need to focus on their advertising strategy and buying ads to boost that within their feed.
By the way, Jan in chat has just wrote something interesting. He say, this has to be one of the best webinars I've been on. Thank you, Jan. But because of you, Orla, finally someone from an application platform being open and honest and answering questions. So well done. Yeah, I really appreciate the approach. So I'll go with tougher question. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, the other point that I want to ask you is, if I am a small medium business and I compete against bigger brands for user attention, so maybe I have a potential customer of mine and he's following a page from Red Bull, one from Nike, and I don't know, other brands. Obviously, those guys, they have huge teams. They are super good in creating amazing content. How can I compete with them? I mean, because I can be good, I can follow your 5 steps for storytelling. I do everything that I can, but then I mean, they are just good. They are just better than me, you know. So how can I compete for attention of my customer if so much content is coming also from great companies with great content?
Yeah, and I think this is really coming back to what I said about the organic distribution and organic reach and feed. So again, it's about developing an advertising model that allows you to develop key content that will increase your engagement from users. So, you know, for me in my feed every day, I follow a lot of big brands, but I also follow a lot of local brands. And because I interact with those local brands, I'm more than likely to see their stories and their news in my feed, essentially because that content is engaging and that's something that I want to interact with. So I've shown that I want to interact with it, and essentially I can be targeted again with their stories. But again, it's coming back to creative and content. It doesn't matter, you know, how big the teams are behind each brand or business. I've worked with smaller brands that have grown into, you know, global brands overnight and over the last 6 months based on the strategy that they put behind their advertising campaign. So that's really, really important.
Got it. Someone from the chat, Orla, asked to ask you, what would you do if you weren't afraid?
Oh God, that is really tough. That's a great question. I think you're gonna have to think about that. I think you know, in my job every day, I've recently changed roles. So I spent 4.5 years with the global sales team, and I've now moved to small and medium business team because it's something that I'm passionate about. And hopefully, you know, what I would do if I wasn't afraid, I'd hopefully set up my own business someday, and feel like I've the confidence and I'm backed with all the right tools and resources that I need to do it. So that's what I would do in work. I'd set up my own business to the side that I can run. And I think outside of work, I'd love to get involved in more extreme sports. I'd love to be, you know, one of these extreme sports champions where I'll like go and do bungee jumps around the world and things like that. But again, it's twofold, personal and work, 2 different ones. But yeah, a couple of different things like that.
And you just married, so you are not afraid at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. I've taken my first leap. Yeah.
Very good, very good. All right, so I think we arrived at the end. It was really a pleasure to talk with you, Orla. Really, I appreciate your approach, absolutely open, and you were answering all the questions coming random from everywhere in the world from the chat. And Krista, what can we say? Anything else?
Yeah, no, I think it's been great. I mean, from the chat, we were just getting a bunch of positive reviews, you know, just thanking you for your honesty and answering all the questions. So I think we've given, you know, small, medium businesses a lot to chew on. And yeah, I mean, they've got endless possibilities, as you mentioned.
Super. Well, it was so good to be a part of today. And again, love to do this again in the future. And as I said, just to direct people to the right links, it's facebook.com/business, and then also facebook.com/marketing. They're the two best resources for them to find out more information.
Very good. By the way, Orla, where someone can follow you? I mean, if want to follow your updates or...
Yeah, sure. So you can just click follow on Orla McSweeney on Facebook.
Okay.
So I've got about 60 people following me there, but you can feel free to follow me on that, or even add me on LinkedIn. It's Orla Malone. That's my LinkedIn profile as well.
Very good. And remember to accept my LinkedIn connection.
Oh, I've done that. I've done that already. That was the first thing I did this morning.
Very good. Orla, you were really so kind. Thank you so much. Orla Malone, Facebook, really appreciate. And Krista, we'll see with Krista later. And by the way, the next guest, I don't remember, just go to check the calendar. I think it's 8 p.m. British Standard Time. We have the founder of Udemy today. So again, another great guest. And another moment to talk and learn about mobile strategies. So thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Take care. Bye.